So you are quite right. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe there should be a forum or a platform where those of us in diaspora can identify or reach out to the communities in Nigeria to identify, like here, you choose who your mentor is, you can sometimes determine if you want to go down the route of, even if it's in the primary school, parents can say, you know what, I like this person, I like this program, I want my children, those that cannot afford private education, they can reach out to this platform and say, is it resources we need? Is it somebody who can make sure that our children have this kind of like education that is the same quality? If they cannot go to school for some reason, cannot pay their school fees, there's somebody there, there's this platform, they can reach out and get online education. We have homeschooling. We know that there are people who do homeschooling for their children. So maybe that is what we need. I don't know. Maybe that's a form of mentoring, but I think there's a lot that we out here can give to the children back home, even from primary to secondary,
Great stuff. Thank you very much. The key thing is obviously setting that tone. And the reason why I picked a new Abby is because you mentioned mentoring about 2 weeks ago. So it's really a continuity. So there is continuity. Don't worry, next week it probably won't be you. Don't worry about it. So the key thing as we go forward is let's focus on primary schools now. Thanks for setting the tone. This one is for you, and obviously if you want to discuss this with Sandra, that would be great, and maybe somebody else can interject. Let's start with the primary school system, the system itself and the qualifications from a mentoring point of view, not necessarily where we are failing, but what can we give back and what can we improve? Obviously, based on the qualifications and the certifications coming from this primary school, can we enhance those platforms? And, people can interject and we can start from there.
All right, thanks. So good evening, everyone. I'll just continue from the theme we talked about last week as well, which was about training and about mentoring as well. Something kept on occurring in the back of my mind was who actually trains the trainer and who will be qualified enough to go into classrooms to speak to students, and what are we going to be saying to them when you go to them? Because when you look at the system in Nigeria, on paper, if you look at the white paper in Nigeria, it's absolutely brilliant. But we don't the follow-up on the end result and the deliverables are pretty shameful. It doesn't get to where it's meant to go to. So I've been asking myself this when I heard that word mentoring. Who will be qualified to go? Will it be somebody that's attended the same primary school, somebody that's ascertained good educational qualification? So will it be a celebrity that will be qualified to go into school? So I think that's a question I want to put to everyone, and let's just all bounce ideas together.
Okay, so I'll leave that with Sandra though. So what is then if Sandra can give us a clear indication, because I know she's got extensive experience there. I mean, you're looking at continuity based on, okay, who are these mentors or who are mentors? Are they celebrities? Do they have to be important? Or like you said, should it be people who actually went to those schools, and now coming back in form of giving back, which technically that's what majority of us are doing on this platform, I can assure you, giving back to the schools. But there must be another angle we can look at it from, especially from the diaspora, Sandra. If you can give us a little bit on that, that would be great. And we can,
Yeah, thanks. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I just want to start, and I'll pick up on Uyi's point very shortly. I just want to start on what do we mean by mentoring? Because I think we could take it for granted that everyone knows what we're talking about.
Right.
So let me just read out what the Cambridge Dictionary describe mentoring to be. It says is the act or process of helping and giving advice to a younger person or a less experienced person, especially in a job or at school. So that's very clear, very simple, and everyone can understand that. So when we talk about what you were saying, who then gives these children, who mentors them? It could be anyone. It could be anybody. Anyone that thinks that they have something of value, and everyone has something of value, can impact that knowledge to the younger ones or anyone for that matter. So in terms of primary school, because they're so young, impressionable age, you've got to kind of be careful who then goes into the schools and talk to these young people. I'm not trying to say that celebrities can't do that, but I'm just trying to be guarded by how you select people who would mentor, because what you're basically saying is this person standing in front of you have done so well, they've got a lot to impart to you, and we want you to emulate the individual. So that's why it's very important to kind of know who these people are going to be. So what is the pool of people that you will get to mentor? And I will start from the corporate sector. You know, that's definitely, because in a country where, particularly Nigeria, that we are still struggling with the economy, we're still struggling to build a lot of our infrastructure. We need people that are already in those fields, that have the knowledge, that have the experience, and have something to give as a word of advice of some sort, or guide the young people who might be thinking at that point that, oh, I would like to go into engineering, for example. You know, who do you put in front of them if they're interested in engineering? Engineers, you know. I think in terms of whether celebrities, and this is a question that everyone keeps asking all the time, you know, what about our celebrities? We need them to step up. We need them to do this. Yes, we need them to step up in the right environment, but not all environments are the right ones for them. So you've got to be careful there. And we work with primary school as well as secondary school in Nigeria. And what we tend to do is we put professionals in front of them, because we're trying to build the nation in terms of what are the things that we take as very key, very important to build a nation, you know, and then you look for people in those fields who would be happy to kind of talk kids through those things and ask questions, you know, that they can ask questions of, and they can easily explain to them what it takes to rise up, what it takes to be in that field, what the pitfalls are, and what are the good things, and what they need to do to prepare themselves for that. Because sometimes it might look easy from the outside to a young mind, you know, but once they find out about the nitty-gritty of it, it might start to get them to kind of shift or change their minds, or even make them more interested in the particular field. So if you want me to go further, I can, but I'll let everyone else come in and then I can interject.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Sandra. I mean, this is a good place to maybe shift the dynamism of the conversation now into a more pressing concern that we have with our educational system while we're here talking about mentoring. Now, those people who are classed as are mentors, they come from every corners, every nooks and walks of life. The people who we are concerned about are obviously our primary school kids now, and before we go into secondary school, there are situations where some of these kids are already looking at giving up. You know, I know, Sandra, where you said, hey, look, you know, we have to be careful who goes in there and all that. But we know for a fact that in these secondary schools, we've seen kids walking miles and miles to school. At some point, they're tired. It looks like they've lost hope. You know, some of them get to school and the education is not what we know should be. You know, they might go there and they're teaching them. They will be in primary 6, but they're learning stuff that really should be like primary 1 kind of stuff, right? Communities should be able community leaders should be able to align with those weak points and maybe start inputting kind of quality into the educational system simply for those kids. Is there a way that this can be siphoned, that kind of energy or that kind of understanding can be siphoned through us in the diaspora, and then parking that with government to say, look, this is how we can enhance this educational system for the primary school, right? And the individual as well. This is open for anybody to interject and say, hey, look, okay, are there similar programs out there already, or is it not a problem? This is an open conversation, really. So maybe Celestine, I know you come from an educational background. Now, what is missing, we think, is mentoring in the educational system. If you can help us highlight how you think we can bring value, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you. I think quickly, one must state there are microcosm and the microcosm. Unfortunately, the best way to attack this will be to go to the government system, the Department of Education, Commissioner for Education, the governor, the ministers. But unfortunately, our demagogues, as I call them, are so hollow. They are not ready to discuss with diasporans. If anything, they see us as a threat. We've tried this in Delta. So what we can do now is, I remember the immortal words of my Lord, Carl Shaw of blessed memory. You can't build something on nothing and expect it to stay, to collapse. So what we need to do is to go to our community, walking through the microcosm. For example, if I, as my place down, we go into our community, first do a comprehensive assessment. For example, I call the principal of my village, the school in my village, and I asked him, can you give me the statistics of our students that have sat for JAM and NECO, whatever it's called, the past 10 years?
Right.
I want to see the language, the classes they've done well, where they've not done well. To this day, has not given it back to me. All they want is give them money. But what we can do is this. We can reach out to private schools. With experience, I've discovered private schools in Nigeria is the best for we to work with because they don't depend on Department of Education, what's it called, Ministry of Superintendent, whatever. Reach out to private schools. Then we can hold Zoom meetings with the students. First of all, we need to do reorientation of the mind. Our students have been so bastardized. We need a diffusion and osmosis, a dialysis of their brain. We need to start teaching them that, look, first and foremost, what you see today as your leaders, that is not society. Their mentors and leaders are those you and I know what they've done. So we need to start in primary school teaching them what it means to be a patriotic citizen, what a society needs. So then we can have Zoom meetings with those students. I think that's the best way because if you go through the government system, the Commissioner of Education will frustrate you. The system will frustrate you. Our people in Nigeria see us as a threat, diasporans.
Right.
If you check other economies, diasporans have driven the revolution. But unfortunately in Nigeria, they see you and I as a threat. They love our Western Union money. But when you start advising them, the next thing you hear is, who is Solo? Solo that has left and he won't even know the home to Ishan land again. So they see us as a threat. So the best we can do is to reach out to private schools for now and use them as a model to changing our society.
Okay.
That's my advice.
Let me go back to Abby just 1 minute. The thing is, Celestine, majority of what you covered here last week, we talked about them, especially from the working with government aspect, right? So people have decided, people have talked about it. Do we need to work with government? Can we do this in isolation? Can we do it in silos and come together? Working with government is a challenge, but we know it's a must that has to happen. And what has happened from these conversations and has been highlighted is that if we keep on pushing and we keep on getting louder, then obviously the government, they have no choice than to align with these initiatives happening in diaspora and see how best they can unlock the value. Or we reverse the brain drain and say, look, these are things we're already doing individually, collectively. It's either you key into it or you lose your people, basically. But saying that, the qualifications coming out from the primary schools aligned with the mentoring programs that we can put together, Abby, do you think that would definitely help a child better than what they're getting now from our primary schools? This is, for instance, if you and I and a few other people here decide to maybe come up with courses and channel them for specific age groups, would that be something that you think will bring a lot of value to individual, or are we just worried about nothing?
Well, like I said before, I think targeting families is I think is the best way to go. And then especially like the last contributor said, primary age is a receptive age where they will get the most knowledge. And we know that families are struggling in Nigeria because they cannot afford private education. They can barely feed. So maybe they don't have internet, we know that. If they know there's a place, if there's a collective effort from our end to be available to these families who cannot attend regular school, or maybe, like you said, they're not getting the level of education that really children here can use most technology. So if we make ourselves available, I am almost certain that it will make an immense contribution to families. Let us focus on families. Let us focus on primary school age. That is the foundation I think we should start with. And I just, if parents know that their children are getting the education, that's less worry for them, I think, so that they're able to, they can stand alongside their mates in the Western world, even those in private education. They're getting this knowledge. The families know, my pikin never go school. I don't know what they teach them, but they know that, if they go to this place, they can get some guidance. Is it in finance? Is it in anything at all? But starting from primary school age, I think it's a good place to start.
I kind of like the angle you're coming at it from, because obviously it's pretty straightforward what we're trying to do. If we target families at some point with these courses and introduce these courses to individual families to say this would bring benefit to your child, regardless of the schooling they're getting at the moment. So you're right, that could change things. Right, it could change things. It could align with what we're doing. It can align with future growth. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. Someone gave an example that look, the thuggery and all this violence happening in Nigeria per se, from a political point of view. There's a 10-year-old child somewhere watching it, right?
Yes.
That 10-year-old child, if you start mentoring them or giving them the right orientation now, in 10 years' time, if that violence is still around, more than likely that child will not be part of that. But if they miss out on mentoring programs or any kind of aligned community outlets that we have, then there is a slight chance that 10-year-old boy watching today would be the leader of the political gang going out to do stuff. So that takes us into the kind of vocational qualifications that are actually coming out from this primary school and this secondary school, and how that aligns with mentoring programs that anybody has out there, and how we can unify this. The key one today is, okay, we all know we're doing stuff. We've set the tone. Diaspora needs to help. But what about stuff happening out there? How do we unify? Dave, if you want to help us with that, that's where it gets.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. To be honest with you, I was thinking more about courses to improve the skills of these children, or nurses, and possibly partnering with government. Now, somebody's just said something about people worrying about us coming out of diaspora. I can assure you, sir, that thinking is changing. There's a slight shift towards being receptive to the help and the mentoring that's going to come out of diaspora. So if we concentrate on trying to deliver courses for the kids, give them an understanding of where they are from, the values of life, I believe this will help.
I totally agree. All right, Lewis, you got an interjection there. That's fine. I totally agree with you, David, 100%. There needs to be designed courses to suit certain needs, but how do we define that and how do we align it? This is the challenge that we'll face. Right.
Thank you very much for the opportunity coming on. I know you guys have talked about so many things prior to, and this is my first one. Where I'm coming from is this. We have an organization here in the UK, or we are established in Nigeria, but we function from here. It's called the Inspirational Teachers School. We have been working with teachers in Nigeria for now coming to 5 years. We've worked with Edo State government, with Delta State government, and they've been open to us. We've trained teachers in Edo State. Even the program Edo Best, running in Edo State now, is driven by someone who came from the diaspora, Oviawe, Dr. Oviawe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that is a program run by Bridge Education. Some of you may know Bridge Education. They are funded by the UK as well. They've done work across Africa. So there is a lot already going on. We still train teachers. And for example, throughout this lockdown, we set up home learning with Sophia. By the way, my wife is a teacher. She's an assistant head teacher here in the UK.
Right.
So she goes to Nigeria every 6 weeks to train teachers. This is the first time she's not gone to Nigeria. But online, we are training a lot of teachers, and we've trained over 10,000 teachers in Nigeria now. And we continue to do mentoring sessions. Even this morning, she had sessions with them. We're trying to reach out to children. Data is a big problem. So what we established now is a group of teachers who work on student packs. Every week they send out packs to a lot of students in a primary school. And let me say, we only work with primary school at the moment because foundational education is so important. If they don't get the pedagogy at this stage, everything else you're building upon is rubbish. So we're working very closely. Someone talked about private school. That is where the money is. So a lot of people tend to pivot that way. Public education, there are too many layers of bureaucracy. And oftentimes, if you're not going to your own state, you don't really get a hearing. I spent a lot of time with the Edo State government, the suburb in Edo State, worked with them before we got to train teachers throughout the senatorial districts. And this happened 2 years ago. So we've been working with them continuously since then. So there's a lot going on. The challenge is there's a lacking of infrastructure. You have a class of 150 primary school children, one teacher. Even if you gave them homework, she can't even mark it. She doesn't even have the infrastructure. Think about it. Most of us went to university in Nigeria or started in some shape or form. The people who went to education, to study education, but the people who didn't get through most of the things. So half of them are not that knowledgeable. So you're starting from a very low point. So we set up, in 2018, we set up the Inspirational Teachers online school to teach teachers. So we encourage them to come to get the basic knowledge of teaching from us here. So we have contributors from English schools, and my wife leads this to teach them. So there's a lot going on there. Then you have groups like ASDEN in Lagos. That's another teacher's school that is teaching private schools, teaching people from other secondary schools. We've taught people from Corona, we've taught people from Green Springs, from the big schools there. They send their teachers to get this training.
Right.
Yes, there's a challenge with government because if you're not politically aligned, oftentimes the doors don't open to you. The strata of education, the curriculum is now just being finalized or fine-tuned so that it can actually deliver for Nigeria.
Right.
Most schools are running the British curriculum. It can't deliver for Nigeria because the British curriculum is set based on where we are now and the future they are going to. But Nigeria doesn't even have a proper curriculum for itself.
You see, where we come in on this level, Louis, thank you very much, because I wouldn't say you are probably the answer to why we're even here today, but more or less it looks like that's the case, because we are looking for how to unify mentoring programs and existing online courses that we know are already packaged to serve the Nigeria state, right? But the thing is, we are all doing this in different silos.
Exactly.
You see, that seems to be the fundamental problem. So coming to a platform like this and telling us all these nuggets, it will be of great service if you can continue on the chat to give us the names of those things that you have done, you know, those things that you are doing, and if possible, institutions willing to align with other institutions or other individuals who have great ideas of how to tailor specific education to specific needs for kids in primary and secondary school. As you can see, if I share my screen again, just to align with topics that we are going through, you can see we're going from, okay, those standards, those qualifications, those vocational qualifications that we know our kids have, but they are not sufficient. They need to be supported by schemes like yours. You know, they need to be supported by programs aligned with the government. So if we move on from there, thanks a lot. If we move on a little bit from there, for the sake of time, going back to what AB was saying now, right? We have it there already. Let's go to the primary school side of things. We have it there already. Parenting becomes an issue. That's definitely key, because some of the parents might be a little bit ignorant about the fact that their child doesn't need to go fully to, they don't need to know or rather be sound academically. They can have vocational courses or creative courses that can help with their orientation as well. We struggle with this because you go home, everybody wants you to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer, and all that. But we are saying, look, somebody can mentor you to be a brilliant carpenter. Do you know that? Someone can mentor you to be a fantastic vulcanizer, and you will in turn train people. That helps build community. So I don't know if it's, I know we have Adele, if you can give us 1 or 2 insights into what you already, I know you were running similar programs which will benefit not only the parents, but the kids through online teaching that you're already establishing. And then we can see if we can find an alignment with what Lewis has just said.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Thanks, Lewis.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I think Saul and I, we spoke, I guess, about a week ago, and what my wife and I decided to do on our visit to my hometown, and we're in Edo State, we saw the need to key into reaching out to the children. And as so many people have said on this forum, we decided to go to the primary school level. My wife was of the opinion that, from her observation, and she's American, from her observation, she just feels like what she was seeing was a lot of despair in the secondary school, age level and above. Even in my hometown, we noticed a lot of people, a lot of the youth were getting into cultism, alcohol. I was told some are smoking Indian hemp. They're just, basically what you're seeing, what my observation was that these youth have lost hope, all they know is to go and either try to 419, or they're chasing politicians, or they're, getting the thuggery and all that. Right. So we decided we would start at the foundational level to give those children hope, to validate them as, people who are worthy of attention and education. And so what we decided to do was we homeschool our twins, boy and girl twins. They're 6 years old, and they're reading already on a college level. They're very, very, computer savvy. As I'm sure many of our children here in the diaspora, they're very capable. And so what we've done is we've done an outreach, and on one of my visits, I realized that MTN and Glo had put up masks in my hometown. And on further research, I found out that we could get internet. So I talked to my dad. We were able to arrange that to happen. And so we set up a computer center, because from what I was being told, our children were having to travel an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on very bad, dangerous roads to even get access to internet. And it really broke my heart, So through that, we were able to arrange to get internet to my hometown, and we set up a computer center. And there's a young man there who had already started the initiative, just needed funding. So I was able to help provide funding. We bought computers, bought more recently an industrial size printer, and I sent supplies from here. So what we've done now is we do a kind of an outreach, and again, it's not just one-sided. We felt that our twins would benefit from learning from people back home. We wanted to bridge, that chasm of, our people have value. They have something to teach the world, and we shouldn't think that, it's just a one-sided affair. So I wanted my kids to get to know their roots better, get to know, their culture. And then they benefit from, from what we can offer them. So they read, they share books, we read back and forth. We've been able to reach out to one of my favorite authors, his name is Dele Ogun, who's a barrister based in the UK, who has written, some wonderful books and some age-appropriate books for primary care level. So that we're doing that, but we're also using the Khan Academy curriculum, which is, there's a lot of resources available online that you can key into. And so we're doing that and exchanging knowledge, and you can see that the children feel there's a sense of confidence, a sense of self-esteem that wasn't there before. Yeah. So that's something we decided to do, because and we have a lot more that we're working on. For example, if it wasn't for COVID, we're actually trying to start like an awards ceremony for really performing students to give them recognition, certificates, this and that. And we're going to do it at the Ososo level, but we also wanted to take it to Abuja, get them in a hotel, take them there and give them recognition.
When you say you want to take it to, when you want to take it to a different level, thanks for that. When you want to take it to a different level, there's two things I picked up from you in terms of value, because the whole thing is about value. Homeschooling, exactly. Going back to homeschooling, right? This aligns with what Abby was saying, and I'll probably just jump off to someone else in terms of added value again. Abby was saying parents need to be involved. You mentioned, I had no idea you were homeschooling. I do have people who have been homeschooled, and as we stand, some of them are the best doctors that I actually know. One of them being my cousin who was fully homeschooled. But that is another thing. The parents, going back to what you said, who is mentoring the mentor? So who is educating the parents so they can deliver value if we're going to go through that loop? That's another avenue that we can think about as well. Because in as much as we want to package things to deliver to people, to deliver to pupils, to students, what about the parents as well? So we might have to understand that, okay, we might look at mentoring as a holistic thing where, okay, some individuals might target the parents and say, if you don't want your child to be schooled in a certain way, make time to deliver X amount of value. Here's a format for that. I think these are things that we can bounce off each other going forward. So I just wanted to hear that point from you, and I've highlighted it. So it gives a lot of confidence if the parent teaching the child is on a level as well, is standardized, right? Let's go into technical programs and assisting with government programs as well. Thanks for that, Dele, right? So if we look at the technical side of things, right, I will go randomly to an individual who, well, I haven't engaged with them before, but hey, look, let's talk to Liz, right? So Liz, you're on the line, yeah? On the technical side of things, do you think that mentoring would definitely assist the government in what they're doing? And I'm hoping you're in Nigeria so you can give us a clear indication of what's going on. So, what's your take on that, Liz?
At the deep end, I thought I'll keep my gob short and just, because this is my first time here.
Okay.
Welcome.
So welcome. Pardon all of the nonsense I'm going to say.
Fair enough.
Yes, actually, I don't see who will not benefit from mentoring. There's absolutely nobody who will not benefit from one form of mentoring or the other. My problem with Nigeria is actually getting the right person with the right heart, the willingness and the disposition to actually make it work. I think that is, I don't know what you've discussed before. This is my first time on this platform, so pardon me. And I've just asked Dan Louis a question which he's responded. It would be a shame to put in all that work and not have a means of either backing it up, ensuring that it works, and it achieves the purpose for which it is actually designed for. I believe that primary school children are the best age group to concentrate on, because then we give them a solid foundation to go on. And if a child knows something and they feel comfortable with it, they're not afraid to, continue on it and pass it on. It's just how to make it work. I think mentoring is brilliant, but also, I don't know, if you look at the whole child, I'm a school business manager here in a Catholic primary school. And what I find is that the wellness of the child is dependent on the wellness of home. So I look at it as a whole child issue.
Awesome. So you're in alignment with Abby there. Right?
Yes.
I know it's your first time on, but the amazing thing about these calls we have on a weekly basis, as you can see, we just pick your name and we talk to you like we know you. It's just a conversation. It's not structured. There are no fixed questions per se, but we're talking around those issues. So if you have any value that you think we should know, even during the conversation, please just drop it on the chat, because one of the projectors will pick it up. So that's the way it works. So if you come next week, hoping you will, or the week after, you can pick up from anywhere you left off, right? And Sandra, I'm guessing that you've heard everything that we've discussed, but in terms of ensuring that mentoring program is delivered to Nigeria, the fear from our point of view is we are not speaking enough. We are not aligning enough. There are 3-4 things that have come out today that if we didn't have this call, who knows, we wouldn't have, I have no idea what home learning and Sophia are doing. You know, we would still be yelling about the place. So I think this is something probably, you know, we can just have an open mic for about 5-10 minutes, and you know, as long as it's not noisy, let's see who can come up with, you know, some valuable things that we haven't discussed. You know, if everybody can contribute, I can unmute everybody's mic 5 minutes, but please just let's be a little bit civil, allow people talk through. And you know, if there's a value that you think we can unlock that nobody has mentioned, or a program or a project, especially in the diaspora, then let's just have a go for it for about 5-10 minutes. But before that, I think David, you got something, right?
Hello, hi, thank you. I'm just going to say I have a mentor here already in this amongst us. You know, very few people know. Yes, he's here right now.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yes, he gave me positive mentoring when I first got to Abuja. You know, I lived with him briefly. I'm so happy he's here. He's a man who has helped a lot of people through mentoring and education.
Okay.
Sir Rotimi, greetings, sir.
Okay, so maybe this is a good time for Mr. Rotimi and everybody to just tell us what you think from a value point of view. You know, what kind of values do we get from mentoring programs that we haven't discussed? So at least we can start collating these things, and then people can decide on follow-ups collectively. But let's buttress on what has been said so far, and then you know, you guys can just run away with it for another 10 minutes.
Yes, I would just want to give an experience I had sometime earlier this year. I went for a training in photography. You know, and the gentleman who took us in that training come from a company called Unabashed. You know, and the principal driver was, or he is the principal photographer to the president, Mr. Buhari. And that one impacted a lot on people who went for that training. You know, it now looked like, oh, I'm not just a common photographer, right. I'm an artist. So in vocations, there are so many other things, even being like a mechanic, for instance. Somebody who's done well in that field can come up and say, yes, I am not just the off-the-street mechanic. Right. I'm more like an engineer. And that will give the young ones something to look up to. Oh, I'm not just a mechanic. I'm somebody contributing worthwhile values to society.
Are you saying that in terms of us recognizing the values in vocational qualifications now?
Yeah. I'm talking about people who have excelled in vocations.
Right.
Yes, coming out now to say, oh, don't just downsize yourself. Don't look down on yourself. Know that you are valuable. This is what I am doing, and this is what I have achieved through it.
I like that.
You know? Yes, that will help.
Thank you.
Hello. And again, I'm sorry, sir. While you were talking, something came to me, you know, because you mentioned something about the infrastructure we have. Fine, it's a big problem. Data, it's a big problem in Nigeria. It's expensive. Yeah. Now, what I will want to look at as an alternative is maybe if we could condense all of the training sessions into something like a DVD or some other kind of medium that can be replayed, you know, at your own convenience, at the student's own convenience. Over time, he doesn't need data on that.
That's a good point. I really, really sit with you on that one, because this is what we're trying to unlock, that particular value. We've been talking about how to do stuff. You know, you've just given us one heads up, and that's definitely possible, because these days a CD is 50p, you can get one. You know, right. So the courses you can make and put in CDs and distribute for free. That's a good agenda as well. We can work on. So let's go back to Sandra just to maybe highlight for us before, you know, we go into how mentoring works and how we can unlock this collectively. If you can help us buttress what has been achieved, or rather what we have achieved so far, and how the diaspora, the key thing is how can us in the diaspora leverage off our expertise here, package these things together, and then deliver mentoring programs. This is what we're looking at.
Yeah, so thank you, and thank you everyone for your contribution so far. I think this is really taking us in a very good direction,
in
the sense that we're starting to now kind of figure out some of the key things that we can unlock to make this happen for us. So I just want to touch back onto the point made by Tona, I think, about not engaging with government. In as much as I would say, yes, let's do that, I actually think we do need to do that, because I think government is also very important in all of this. I don't think we can do it without actually having government supporting whatever initiative that we come up with. I mean, I've been in discussions with tutor generals and tutor, what are they called? I think in Nigeria, they call them tutor general of the district, kind of explaining what we're trying to do and seeking their permission for us to work within their districts, because I think it's important that we get their buy-in, and it's important for us to have this relationship with them, this working relationship that helps smooth the way. So I would say, let's take our eyes off that bit of it. And going back to the ladies, Abby and Liz, on the importance of parents in all of this, I totally agree, absolutely 100%. The issue I have with that, though, is the fact that the parents are still struggling themselves to make ends meet. So for us to now say, you know what, we're coming to talk to you for half an hour in your day, in your very, very busy day where you're trying to make a crust, I think you find that to be a challenge and a half. It can be done, don't get me wrong, because obviously they do find time to go to the mosque or church or whatever. So we need to carve out some of their time for that and sell it to them as important as saving their own souls. So that's something we could work on, how we do that.
Go on, sorry.
And the point that Mr. Rotimi said about infrastructure and possible solution, one solution, which is a DVD. There is also this thing about apps, where you could download onto a WhatsApp, phone. Everyone has WhatsApp. The parents have WhatsApp. If they give their phone in the evening to children to just let them listen to whatever it is that's been put onto the app, that might also help as well. So not just DVD, let's think outside the box. Let's think about these young people who are very techy and all of that, and what would be the best tool for them. But definitely, I'm warming up to the DVD idea as well.
Same here. Thank you very much. Same here. The cool thing is we know we're not a threat. I know Celeste mentioned that before. Evidently, we can see we are not a threat. We're not upset with anybody. We just want to help. And that's what mentoring is, as you defined right from the beginning, right? So we barely have about 10 minutes. It's another session where we have to go round robin and everybody to say, okay, how can we now finally unlock the value from all of us? Because there's no point being on the call if you haven't got any value. Listening in is cool, but please, if you can contribute, that would be great. So let's look at it from what we've discussed, from the values we have as individuals. I'm a mentor as well. I'm a coach. I recently just got my certificate as a life coach. So I'm a football coach, a life coach, a mentor, and what else? Yeah. So we do all of that. We know what we can do. The key thing is let's push it back. So let's see what it is we're missing. What key mentoring values do you think we can unlock and bring, either from Nigeria or from the diaspora? From your point of view, what values can we bring? If you are in Nigeria, what can you unlock for us? And then if you are in diaspora, what key values do you think we can unlock from your point of view? Rotimi, do you mind giving us one or two key values that we think we can unlock collectively, either from Nigeria or from diaspora, that can bridge that learning gap that mentoring brings?
So, I think in every state in Nigeria, I'm not too sure, but I do know that Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja have this vehicle I'm going to talk about. In Abuja, it's called the Abuja Enterprise Agency. AEA, Abuja Enterprise Agency. Yeah, they do loads of training in different aspects of enterprises. Take for instance now, I'm quite particular about this mechanic thing, auto mechanics. Yeah, take for instance, you could say, let's team together and create an avenue where people could come for training in, say, for instance, auto mechanic business, and they will provide the platform for you to do that. And you mentor people. You get somebody who's good, who's done well in the auto mechanic field, for instance, and he comes to speak and tell the young ones what values they can get from that field. That's one way we can look at it.
Okay, so you're saying that needs to be amplified on a level of things like that, because the Abuja Enterprise Agency, for instance, if there's a way they can highlight or amplify their value, people like in the diaspora can key into it and maybe suggest ways of how we can maybe expand that particular program, apart from just happening in Abuja. This can happen in Idilo, it can happen in Okene. It doesn't just have to be restricted to Abuja. So thank you. I think, via David, I'll probably follow you up on that one if you don't mind, just to say, so we can know more and like that. Right? Should we go to Mr. Tunde Ajibola? If you got a minute to say, hey, look, in terms of value-driven delivery now, what can we unlock from the diaspora from a mentoring point of view that you think we haven't touched on?
There are things going on back home that can also be solutions to some of the challenges that are there. I'll just give one case in point. There's a gentleman in Lagos that owns Cars Customs. And basically he does body work, wrapping for cars. He actually does a course and he teaches youth to come in and do car wrapping, do paint jobs on cars, takes apart the body panels. And he has an academy, okay? It's called Kaz, Khaz Customs.
Any chance to put that in the chat at some point, please? If you can, okay. on the chat, yeah.
Okay, so so again, if somebody had the funds to, because that's what I was thinking of doing. There was one of my young cousins. I wanted to fund him to go to the academy, but it was filled for that training session. So I'm just saying that to highlight that there's things going on in Nigeria, because what I really want to focus on, especially with the secondary school age, vocational school age, is what skills can they get that they can go out on their own, start a business and provide a livelihood for themselves and maybe help their families. Yeah. So that's something that we can key into from a vocational standpoint, to get them on their feet. Right. The other thing that I've done, I probably didn't mention this to you, is I started a media company in Nigeria called OB360 Media. Okay. Through that, I've been mentoring youth, at that age level to come in and be anchors and hosts on a show that we do every Saturday. So 5 p.m. every Saturday, we do a show, we discuss current affairs going on. Like today, we discussed the whole Edo State political climate and what's going on. Right. So, and then I mentor them on, how to budget their money. When they get their pay, when they get their alerts every month, budgeting their money. The importance of getting your pay slip to build a record of your employment and what that means when you go to the bank to get a loan. Because a lot of them were saying, oh, just send to my account. I said, no, we don't just do that. I send to our corporate account and then you're paid from there. There's a reason for everything we do. So I discovered a lot of the things that we take for granted over here in diaspora, our youth back home have not been trained on. So those are ways that you can mentor our youth to bring them up to speed with really what's worldwide standards. So that's just something else I wanted to mention that I've been doing as well.
Awesome. I mean, I got from you there, especially the money management side of things. You see, we talk about mentoring and helping people and that, but with corruption being the main thing in Nigeria, if people know how to manage money, they would know who's stealing their money. If they understand money, they will understand it, right? They will understand why the money is being missing. So that is a key thing that maybe something can be designed around that to empower people to understand mentoring and managing your money. So thanks very much. Awesome. Thank you very much. We're going back to Liz now. Then we go to Celestine, and then Lewis, and then Adonis. Adonis, I know you've been quiet for a bit. Liz, it's just a case of, hey, we always ended up with something positive, so everybody can take some value. So what it is you think mentoring can bring that we haven't discussed from your point of view, please?
Yes, I'll concur with Daly actually.
Okay.
If we can identify organizations who are already on the ground, who are doing laudable work, and see how we can support them to make it better and to increase the reach.
Exactly.
Also, things like how to write CVs, how to interview properly, all those kind of life skills. I'm passionate about women, girls, who've kind of lost out one way or the other on mainstream education. They could be taught all kinds of skills.
Just to cut you short there, Liz, right? Before I forget, that stuff you mentioned about girls, in about 3 weeks, we're having a chat about women. So if you can get in touch with us, so that could be something that might excite you. So, okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Fine enough. Thank you very much. Mr. K, key values, if you can, please. We barely have a couple of minutes. From a mentoring point of view, what can we unlock from a diaspora and that we know we can package and send back in terms of value?
Thank you. I'll try to be very quick here. As the president of the Organization of African Unity in America, the only platform where you have Africans, African Americans, and African Caribbeans, we have a model that is working all over the world. What we do is this. Earlier, I talked about government. I wasn't saying we shouldn't talk to government, but I think what we should do, there are 2 stages. We're talking of primary school, we're talking of high school. We've not touched high school today. Let's talk on primary school. We can have a microcosm. For example, you and I grew up from GRA Benin. So let's take that as a scenario. So we use GRA children, Boundary, Iyama, Airport Road, okay? So we have a room where we pay for, somewhere in Airport Road. So on Saturday, we mentor 20 kids for a start in primary school, okay? So we're going to be paying them something every weekend. We give them assignments. We buy a little smart project, laptop, or whatever it is for them, okay? We're teaching them civics, patriotism, morality. We start from there at 90. We pick high school kids. We link them up to apprenticeship. We have friends who are managers in banks, IT skills. We link them up in terms of apprenticeship. So we're talking to them every weekend. We're paying them. If you go to this person, we'll talk to you. We link ourselves here. I'm a counselor. My wife is a professor of counseling and a clinician. So we talk to those kids every Saturday. We use 20 as a case study first. Then we start building. We go to Agbo. That's what we're doing in our association all over the world, and it's working. When I talk of government, they will frustrate you for now. Let's leave them and start with kids in our locality. 20 kids so we can monitor them. That's all I have to say. I wish we have enough time to talk about.
Yeah, great stuff, Celestine. The time being an issue is not a problem because, there's always next week. Even if you're not here, we would continue on that next week and unlock it for you. Yeah, thanks a lot. What you're doing is excellent, but I need to follow you up on that because there's similar models existing in silos. Maybe we can all share. Lewis, if you don't mind, so just something out of the ordinary that you think, hey, look, from a mentoring point of view, because we want to help, and that's what mentoring is about, based on our expertise. Yeah, how can we unlock this and package it? I know you're already doing that, but what value does it give on the level?
I think going forward, collaboration.
Awesome.
Because you see, as you say, we're doing several things in different places, but there's no network to say, okay, David is doing this, I'll send you here. Yeah. Sandra is doing this, I'll send you here. Oftentimes, everybody wants to be the star of the show. But if we could work together, say, for example, for a lot of us have Edo State origin, and work, say, okay, we want to do something for Edo State, and we want to network what everyone else is doing together. That way, we have a wider network and a wider reach.
Awesome.
So collaboration is what I think we really need to get on board to. We could set up like a database and start from there. Set up a database of us here in the diaspora, what we're doing, so we know what each other is doing and be able to leverage from one another to get a collective effort. rather than one person doing something in Ubo that the other person in GRE doesn't know what's happening.
Fair
but
enough.
they're doing about the same thing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That's fantastic, because why I'm smiling is last week we talked about having this database registry of all the things we're doing in the diaspora. You know, the key thing is, okay, who's going to build it and how, but it's in the pipeline in terms of conversation. And then collaboration is more or less a key word for us. The guys who are constantly here, we tell you, we always bang it on collaboration, and it's what it is. That's why we're here today, right? So thanks a lot. Mr. Adonis, you really have 1 minute. I know you're quiet. Do you want to chip in, or do you want to just listen?
No, let me just have, to chip in. No, it's, good evening, everybody. I think the area I really want to hammer on is has to do with mentoring. I mean, the parents, because we're talking about mentoring kids, you know, maybe from 6 years old and primary school age. You know, I think we really need to educate the parents, because we can't. There's no way we can do without. We can mentor the kid without involving the parents. You know, and in the area of vocational work, like what I noticed that most children, when you watch them very closely, you see that they have some talent in them, you know, that we often overlook as parents. You know, like my daughter, that's why I have that. My daughter, I don't notice that she likes to draw. Most of the time, she likes to draw things, you know, and when you look at what she draws, she's able to explain to you what the motive of what she drew. You know, even at school, the teachers even say, she's very good at drawing. But you see, Nigeria, all parents want is doctor. I'm not saying doctor is not good. Doctor, engineers, and you know. So we need to really try and educate parents to let their kids have, just explore themselves and discover themselves, you know, on their own without unnecessary interference. Because sorry, there's no time as such. I had the same experience with some of my contemporary when I was growing up. Their parents wanted them to be doctors, engineers. They wanted to do chemistry and physics, but most of them ended up being a good accountant, you know, and artists, and they are doing very fine in their various professions, you know. So we really, the aspect of involving parents, educating parents, you know.
All right.
So yeah, I think it's very important.
I'll take that from you as a valid point. You know, parent education. I think that's more or less the key thing for today. I'm trying to gain, Abby, for you see why you set the tone. So I think that's really key. So going back to you, I don't know, do you want to, Abby, do you want to continue, or because you've already set it for everybody, so everybody knows where your point is coming from. But if you want to buttress on that, or you know, should we move to somebody else? Entirely up to you.
Oh, I think we've all said basically the same thing, you know, in different ways. I am very, very keen on like having a longitudinal study, like somebody, I'm not sure who said it about where he picks 10 children. Maybe from this forum, we can identify a group of children, start with them, mentor the families, and see what happens in 10 years' time.
10 years? What about 10 weeks?
Sorry?
10 weeks can change a life. 10 years is a long time.
I'm just, if we want to really impact on the Nigerian scene, 10 weeks, fine, but let's see how they turn out. We don't need all of them to be doctors and nurses and professors. Let us see if mentoring them along vocational pathways, I think it would be exciting to see that, oh my God, 10 years ago, this is where we started. So we need to give something back in that way, I think. I'm so excited about it.
Thank you. I was only kidding when I said 10 weeks, but 10 years is a valid thing, because we talked about a 10-year-old kid who will be 20 and most likely can still be a thug if he's not educated. So thank you. Uyi, do you want to add in terms of, hey, look, mentoring? Because I know you do a lot. I know you do a lot of corporate training as well and organizational change stuff. So from a mentoring point of view, what is it that you think we haven't kind of hinted on? And then we can wrap it up. And
to end in a positive note, I think everybody said everything, and I've been reading the charts today as well. You can see Nigerians trying to contribute their own quota and try to do their own best, which is good. So we should use this platform again as a way of talking to each other, networking, and seeing what we could do. I'll quickly go to Rotimi's point. I've seen Edo Best in action.
Yep.
It's the best thing ever. I was so impressed. I was in the classroom in my old primary school, and I loved it so much. And I'm also aware that Lagos State is also picking up where Edo Best started from. So I think the key as well is vocational studies, because I remember my mom worked in the technical school in Benin City when I was a kid. Absolutely brilliant. If we can go back to I said something about the white paper, the educational white paper earlier at the start of the training. We've got an educational system, 6334 educational system. Absolutely brilliant, but we don't practice it. At the age of 15, if a child knows, let me focus on vocational skills, you can go to technical school.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of 18, that child will be ready for the workforce.
That's right.
We don't have that in practice. That's what I think is holding us back as well.
Well, thank you very much, Uyi. I know exactly where you're coming from. Let's just end it with Sandra now before I kind of touch on that. So Sandra, from all that has been said, please, everything has been aligned. We know what we are missing. We know what we want. But is there something you think from a mentoring point of view that we should take home and focus on, and maybe try thinking how we can package it, unify it, and deliver it as value-driven for Nigeria?
Thank you. I think I like the idea of Louis saying collaboration. And collaboration, not just organizations coming together, but people who would like to be mentors, people who are keen to be mentors, because you can't do it without people. And we need people in different spheres of work, vocation and academic, any sector and every sector. So when we talk about database, I think we need a database of mentors as well. Yeah. And everyone just given a very short brief of, biography of themselves and what they would like to mentor people on. The idea of starting young, definitely, we want to try and get them as early, sorry, it's my phone. We just need to get them as early as we can. And primary school is definitely the starting point. Awesome. So thank you everyone for your contributions tonight.
Thank you. Well, thanks everyone. As you can see, the educational side of things started about 3 weeks ago when we went through politics. Like I said, it was from the political concerns of Nigeria that it evolved into what's missing, and it turned out that it was education. From education, we've evolved now to say we've sorted education. Okay, how can we add value to that education? And then mentoring popped up. Mentoring now it has extended to what the parents really need that inside. And obviously from what everybody has said, if we can collaborate effectively, then who knows? The platform is open for that kind of engagement. It's to enhance the engagement. That is our key driver. We are not into making anything from it. It's look, if you can connect, we have value, then our kids have value, then a certain level of our future is secured. But we're running out of time again. I can only say thank you, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. And if you've got any topics, we'll park it and talk about it at some point. All right? I'll definitely talk to you. Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Thanks, Solo.
All right. Thanks. Bye.